All right, fellas, a little awkward start there. I think there was a little gap in between the promo, but I'm joined tonight by Ty Slice and Ryan. Ryan, since you're the newcomer to the pod, how we doing?
Doing good, doing good.
Ty Slice, how's everything going? Looking real clear in that spiffy my bookie hat.
Yeah, and I got the Prize Pick shirt that they finally sent me. Supposed to send it a few months ago, but finally got here.
Exactly. And for the most part, CG may jump on. I think he's texting me right now. He had the kids tonight, so he's trying to get on if he can get in bed. But we're going to get right into this card. This is the official name, UFC 241, Cormier versus Miocic 2. And this first fight is Sabina Mazo and Shana Dobson. And I already have a bet on this, Ty. I have way too many bets on this. I know you're going to tell me I'm betting way too much, but I got a ton of bets on this fight. So I don't think I got a great line. I put the bet in. I got Shana Dobson at minus 134, and I think the line on the website right now I think it's at like minus 120. Let's pull that up real quick and see what it's at. Yeah, we got minus 120 right now. So I didn't get the best line here, but let me break down this fight, and then I'll throw it to you, Ryan. Shana Dobson, I think, can really box her up for the first 2 or 3 minutes of each round, then maybe put her on her back. And if she's able to put Mazo on her back, I think she could just win rounds and win a decision here. I personally, I went back and I watched the Lauren Mueller fight, and I thought she beat Lauren Mueller, personally. I thought she beat her in rounds one. She definitely won round two. I think she beat her in round one. And she even got a second takedown of Mueller in round three. Mueller has more power than Mazo does. I think the one difference with Mazo, if she's able to get her kicks off early, then she could have a lot different fight than her first fight against Miraz. I was actually at the Miraz fight. It was in UFC Philly. And I was actually on Mazo pretty good. She has a lot of striking history, but the thing is she looks like she's a little weak in the midsection and leg section. Like she's carrying too much weight in her legs. She's tall, long, but for the most part, I think she's very hittable. Her head just stays on that centering line, and I think Dobson's going to be able to hurt her with kicks if she can just attack that lead leg. She's heavy on her lead leg, and she could also just attack her with the jab and with a straight right. She can knock her back and just out-volume her. The only way that Mazo I see is going to be able to win this fight is with her kicks. And again, there's different distances for every fight, and I think that Dobson's going to be able to win most distances. If it stays a kicking distance, then Dobson's at a disadvantage. So, Ryan, what do you think about this one?
I didn't see much about this one, honestly. Personally, from what I saw, I didn't really like any of the bets on this fight, honestly. I thought maybe the inside the distance, goes the distance, the over, something like that. I didn't like either of the fighters, though. I personally wouldn't put a bet on either of the fighters.
All right, just poo-pooing my first bet here. CJ, I see you in that bottom left corner. How's it going, bro?
What's going on, dude?
I'm gonna throw this first. We literally started with the first fight. I'm gonna throw it to Ty Slice for any bets, and then I'll get back to you. Ty, what do you think here?
Yeah, so I kind of agree with your take on how the fight's going to play out. I think that Dobson is a better striker than Moroz, slightly. So I think that Dobson's going to have the advantage in this fight. But I also agree with Ryan that I don't really like a bet on any of these. I think Dobson's going to win a decision. I'm not really willing to put any money down on it, though.
All right, CG, I know you're a betting man. What do you think here? Everybody's staying away from this but me. Any bets on this first fight?
How sad is it that I am a betting man and I don't want to touch this fight? It's ugly. I'm just not intrigued by it. Gun to my head. Let's go Dobson.
All right, so at least everyone agrees with me that Dobson's going to win the fight, but nobody wants to bet it. Let's open up with the second fight, which I also have a bet on. But Ty Slice, let me throw it to you, bro. Kang and Brandon Davis. What's your breakdown on this one?
All right, so I'm a big Brandon Davis fan. I like the way that he fights, his fighting style. What worries me though is his takedown defense. It's at 57%. Kang's gonna probably look to get this fight to the ground. as soon as possible and as many times as possible. So I'm a little bit worried if it keeps standing. I think that Davis holds a slight edge. He's going to keep coming forward, and if he can keep it standing, I think that he's going to win the fight. But I have to think that at some point Kang's going to get the fight down. I'm probably going to stay away from it. But that being said, if on fight night, if I want some action, I'm gonna roll with Davis at plus money. He's plus 155 right now.
Yeah, I do like that.
I'm probably gonna stay away though.
All right. So everyone's scared to bet these first two fights. Ryan, anything on this fight?
So I didn't see any odds on it yet. It may just be that the prop wasn't out yet. But I honestly do like Kang by submission. He's a submission artist. He's going to be trying to take the fight down to the ground. Davis, like Tyler said, bad takedown defense, 57%. If he can get it down to the ground, which I think he should be able to fairly easy at least a couple times, I think there's a chance that he could win by the submission. So I'd maybe put a small play on that. Outside of that, I probably wouldn't touch it personally. Okay, there are the odds right there if it shows the submission. But yeah, it doesn't look like submission yet. So I'd probably consider a small play on that. Outside of that, I probably wouldn't touch it.
All right, Kang wins inside distances plus 180. CG, you like that submission prop, or you want something else here? What do you think?
No, I think Brandon Davis is going to last all three. Besides his fight with Costa, Brandon Davis was taken down in all of his UFC fights, and that's what concerns me. But also, Kang against Ramos, he only went for 2 takedowns. So I don't know if it was because he was afraid of Ramos's jiu-jitsu. He still outstruck Ramos 65-54, lost the decision. But I just don't know. I just could picture him wanting to stand and strike with Brandon Davis, which is a very bad decision. If that happens, I think Davis is going to win a striking-based decision. Davis is better volume, better striking versatility. So if King does what he's supposed to do and has a takedown-oriented game plan, I think he can definitely win. Like Ty said, Davis has 57% takedown defense. It's not good. King lands 2.4 takedowns per fight. There's a clear path to victory. I'm just not convinced that he's disciplined enough to execute it. So for the most part, this fight is a pass for me. And I do think Brandon Davis does have a lot of value at that line, though.
Not only does it have a lot of value, but I bet him at that line. So I got Brandon Davis at plus 140. I actually wish I had the plus 155. I bet him at plus 140. Brandon Davis, after his last fight against Randy Costa, who just got a fight. Ty, did you see the fight that Randy Costa got booked today?
No, I didn't see it today. Who's he?
He's got your boy Boston Salmon. All right, so Ty basically poo-pooed Boston Salmon and was right. Who was it that knocked out Boston Salmon last time out and you called it?
Taha, right?
Taha.
It was more of a play on Taha, though, and me not buying into Salmon being as good striking.
Well, I'll tell you what. When I watched that Brandon Davis-Randy Costa fight, I was very impressed with Randy Costa. He pushed forward. He hurt Davis, dropped him actually in the first round and then the second round. And CG and I actually went back and forth a little bit on this fight. I told him I really like Brandon Davis. At the end of that fight, he told Joe Rogan in the cage and told Joe Rogan that he walked into the cage that night at 160 pounds. He weighed in at 135 and walked in at 160. I think he's going to be much bigger than Kang. He looked bigger than Randy Costa, and Randy Costa, he definitely cuts a ton of weight. But Costa was 4-0, undefeated, and very good striking ability. I think that if Kang comes out here and doesn't go for the takedowns, which you guys are concerned about, I think Kang could get knocked out here. Brandon Davis looks like his power really came down. He was able to hurt Costa. I believe he hurt Costa with I think it was a knee to the body. It was either a knee or a kick to the body, and was able to finish him on the ground. But for the most part, I really like Brandon Davis here, and I already bet him. So next fight, Ryan, I'll throw this one to you. Hannah Cifers and Jodie Esquibel. Right now, if we look at these odds, let me just throw these odds up here for everybody. Esquibel is plus 235, and Hannah Cifers is minus 275. Ryan, what do you think here?
Yeah, I love Cifers at that odds. At least for our parlay piece, I don't think she loses this fight at all. I think there's actually a good chance that she could knock her out. I mean, the other one's on a big losing streak. I don't think she wins this fight at all. Cifers easily for me.
Yeah, no, I hear you on that one. CG, what do you think here?
I like Cifers a lot in this fight. Esquibel's a goddamn punching bag when you look at her last few fights. Absorbed 127 strikes from Kolakevich, 128 from Aguilar, 117 from Angela Hill, but she went to decision in all three of those fights. So I like Cifers. I like her at her line right now. I'm that confident that she can win this fight, but I also like the Cifers to win by decision prop as well. Where's that?
We could throw it up there, bro. Gotcha.
Yeah, Cifers wins by decision, -140. I think that's a good line.
-140. I think that is a very good line there. Ty
I
Slice.
like that one. I like that one a lot. Yeah.
Ty Slice, what do you think here?
Yeah, so this fight, I think, oh man, coming into the UFC, I thought Cifers was legit. I knew that she didn't really have a chance versus Barber, but her win versus Viana kind of concerns me because she got outstruck by Viana, and we see that Viana is not a good fighter at all. Granted, she did win the fight, but I think this is more of a play on Esquibel being so terrible. I really don't know how she is in the UFC at this point. I see right now the line's at -275. I don't hate it, but I don't know how much stock I want to put behind that. Maybe throw her in a parlay or two, but I'm not really going to go overboard on this because I'm just not sure how good Cifers is right now at this point.
No, I do agree with that. But I tell you what, I did parlay Cifers with CG's boy Yadif Yusuf, and for the most part, at this point, I have the exact same breakdown that CG gave you. Esquibel's last three opponents had 127 strikes, 128 strikes, and 117 strikes. And I think the reason that they're so comfortable with throwing so many strikes and landing is just the fact that Esquibel doesn't hurt anybody on the feet, so they have no problem taking a punch or two, just walking forward and landing. And again, when you look at the Macy Barber fight, I mean, it's arguable that Cifers won round one. Barber was able to finish her in round two. But short notice, it was a second round KO. She took a lot of damage, but again, until it got to the ground, it wasn't really an overwhelming win for Barbara until it got to the ground. Cifers gave her everything she wanted on the feet. So yeah, I do like Cifers here, and I think it's a great play to parlay her at those odds. And CG's onto something there with that decision prop. I think that's a decent decision prop at -140, I believe that was.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah, -140 is what it is there.
Has Esquibel ever been finished? She's been stubbed once. Besides that, her other 4 losses came by decision, so she's never been knocked out.
No, she hasn't. And again, Cifers is kind of like a rock'em sock'em robot. She just moves forward and just keeps punching at certain times. And I don't know. All right, this next fight, I think I bet every fight so far, and this next one, it's not going to stop yet. Manny Bermudez and Casey Kenney. I'm going to throw this one to Ty because, Ty, I want to get your take on Manny Bermudez, the Bermudez triangle here. What do you think?
Yeah, so I don't understand how this line is only -135 right now. This seems like a lock for Bermudez. He's a stud on the ground. I know Kenney thinks that he's a beast standing up, but he only lands 37% of his punches. I mean, he stopped 61% of the takedowns. Bermudez isn't a great wrestler, but he's going to be really active going for these takedowns. And once he gets to the ground, he's really active. I think that he's going to get him down early in this and lock up a submission. But right now, his line's -135. The inside the distance prop is only +120. So there's not really enough value to play that. So I'm just going to bet him straight, and I'm gonna probably bet this pretty heavy.
Yeah, I agree with you, Ty, and that's more or less the take that I thought that you would have. I don't think he's going to give him a chance to strike. Rob, what do you think here? Ryan, you there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree, Bermudez. I just don't think he's going to lose this fight at negative 135. I think that's definitely a good play. I don't know if he gets the finish, honestly. I wouldn't go inside the distance. But I definitely think he gets it down to the ground and definitely wins this fight.
CG, Ryan's calling no finish. I think he's gonna finish. What do you think here?
Honestly, at minus 135, I think that's a pretty generous line. I don't think there's a need to grab it inside the distance. Casey Kenney's a tough kid. He's coming off a huge win against Ray Borg. Thing about Casey Kenney, only has a 50% finish rate. 7 of his last 8 fights went to decision, so I do favor Bermudez because of his 86% finish rate. He is undefeated, 1 TKO victory, has 11 submissions. His BJJ is legit. Bermudez won his last 6 fights by submission. And I think he could score another one on Saturday, but like I said, at minus 135, I'm just going to take that. No need to get greedy. So, I mean, when you assess Kenny's paths to victory, I mean, what are they? I mean, I think he has a wrestling background. Do you really want to take Bermudez to the ground? It's pretty senseless. So I think Bermudez has multiple paths to victory. Yeah, I like him in this spot. I love that line.
Yeah, and I'll even go a step further. I think that when you look at Manny Bermudez, he's another guy that, you know, he weighed in at about 140 pounds, I believe, against Benito Lopez. He's very big for the division, cuts a lot of weight, and he's going to be much bigger than Casey Kenney in this fight.
You said 140 because he fights at 135, so that's not that big.
No, but that's what he weighed in at.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
he was overweight.
He was over. You're right. Okay.
Yeah. So, but I think he gets up to like 150, 155 easily. He looked a lot bigger than Benito Lopez in that last fight. So take that for what it's worth. You know, for the most part, I think that the most important thing here is that Casey Kenney is well-rounded, and I don't think he's going to have a chance to really use his striking in this fight. I think Bermudez is going to be able to get that clinch early, get this fight down to the ground. And if you look at, you know, a guy, you know, CG mentioned, you know, Casey Kenney's last fight against Ray Borg. It was on short notice for Casey Kenney. Borg was a little bit overweight, but for the most part, Borg was able to take him down at will. And after the first round, I really thought that Borg won the fight in rounds 2 and 3 with his takedowns. He didn't have a lot of strikes, but you know, I think that for the most part, if Casey Kenney isn't willing to grapple and win grappling, man, I don't think there's going to be much striking in this fight at all. Again, if you look at Bermudez, he really didn't strike much with Lopez at all, so that's why I'm not really worried about the striking. But Casey Kenney is a U.S. judo champ and everything else. Rise Combat, MMA Lab. He's doing all the right things training. Wrestler, BJJ black belt. I just think Manny Bermudez is just better. A little bit longer arms, 3-inch height, 3-inch reach. I think everything just trending towards Bermudez. I think it's a very, very generous line, as a bunch of you guys said earlier on the pod. So let's go to this next fight. And this next fight is actually a fight that I didn't bet. So Ryan, I'll throw this one to you to introduce it. It's Drakkar Klose and Christos Giagos. The one thing I will say about this fight, I think the line is off. I think that this line should be a little bit closer. I thought it would be closer with Pippen, to be honest with you. So I was surprised that I think Klose is like minus 200 right now.
Yeah, and I mean, looking over this fight, I didn't like either side, honestly. This is a fight I would not bet at all. If I had to pick, I'd probably do something close, but I didn't like this fight at all, and I wouldn't bet it at all.
Ty Slice, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm a little bit confused on this because I don't really know how good Drakkar Klose is. One fight he looks great, the next fight he looks terrible. Giagos looked good versus Hadzovic. Can he fight that same fight? I don't really know because Klose does have good wrestling, and he should be able to keep this fight standing. If he keeps the fight standing, he's probably going to pick him apart on his way to a decision. I don't feel confident enough to go one way or another on this though.
All right, CG. Nobody's betting but me. What's going on here, CG?
Oh man, Giagos is coming off a 2-fight winning streak where he landed 6 takedowns against Hadzovic. Then before that, he landed 5 takedowns against Hirota. Drakkar Klose is just one of those fighters. He doesn't do a whole lot. Lands about 3.5 strikes per minute, lands about 1.6 takedowns per fight. All of his fights are close, except his fight with Devonte, who's terrible. But besides that, all of his fights are really, really freaking close, and that concerns me. Look at his last fight against Bobby Green. He was outstruck 92-58, landed 0 takedowns. Green landed 1 takedown and also had 5 advances, and Klose wins the fight. Oof, I don't know. I mean, the way Giagos has been fighting, he had that takedown-heavy game plan. He can get close to the ground, I think. So I think the value's with him in this spot. Yeah, dog or pass in this situation right here. I don't know if I feel comfortable enough to bet it. He might be a parlay piece along with 2 heavy favorites to bring the line down a little bit, but I can't bet Klose. He lets his opponent stay in the fight for way too long.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I'm dog or pass on this one. This was one of the first fights that I actually I taped, and when I taped this fight, I didn't look at the line at that point, and I said I would lean Giagos if he's the dog. And I haven't made a plan in this yet, but a plus what is he at? Is he plus 170 right now? Where's his line? Let me just check this real quick.
Yeah, plus 170.
Yeah. So at plus 170, I think that's a great line for Giagos because I think that this is more or less a pick 'em. Close 7 straight fights have gone to decision. I believe his loss was to Lando Venata, right?
No, David Timur.
David Timur. It was David Timur. David Timur in a fight that he was very, very frustrated.
I was at that fight. It was boring as shit. Nobody wanted to engage.
It was boring, and he kind of took him. He was in his own head in that fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Very frustrated with himself. Personally, I thought he lost to Bobby Green. I have no idea. I mean, CJ gave a nice little take on the breakdown in total strikes, and for the most part, yeah, I do agree with what he just said. But take it a step further. I mean, Bobby Green easily won 2 of those rounds. So I have no idea how Drakkar Klose won that fight. And again, on the feet, I think that it's a very close fight. And wrestling, I think it's a very close fight. I would even give the lean to Giagos on the feet. So I think that Giagos is a great play here. I think he's an improved striker. He actually has a higher takedown average. And for the most part, I think he's fought the better competition, right? Charles Oliveira, Josh Emmett, Gilbert Burns, he's been in there with some studs, although he's lost to them. But, I mean, he's been in there with the better competition.
You know what? I am going to bet this. So Drakkar Klose was taken down in every one of his UFC fights besides Devonte by guys that aren't even wrestlers. Diaz, Timur, Venata, I think, has a wrestling background, but Bobby Green. These guys are strikers for the most part. And then Giagos lands almost 3 takedowns per fight. I'll tell you what, that takedown probability metric usually doesn't do me wrong.
Well, listen, I'm on Giagos. I haven't put a bet on him yet, but I think I'm talking myself into a play here. So let's move on to this next fight. And I'll be honest with you, this is a fight that, as of right now, I don't even know who I'm picking. So, Ty Slice, I'm going to throw it to you. This is Raphael Assuncao and Cory Sandhagen. And I'm on the fence. I thought that the line would be a little bit closer, but I'm not comfortable going either way. I don't know if Assuncao's done or not. Sandhagen impressed the you-know-what out of me last time out. What do you think here?
Oh, in my opinion, this is Sandhagen all day. I love the +1. The fight's not going to go to the ground. And when it stays up, Sandhagen's just going to put a pace on him. You guys there? You cut out for a second.
Yeah, you're the one cutting out, Ty. We're losing you a little bit.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, so I love Sandhagen at -175. I think that this fight's going to remain standing. He's going to put a pace on him. I don't know if he's going to finish it, but -175, I'm gonna probably bet pretty good amount on Sandhagen here.
CG, you want Sandhagen too here?
Yes, I love the guy, man. I think he's fantastic. We've already seen with this fight against Alcantara that you're not going to submit this guy. I mean, he doesn't tap to anything. He almost had his arm broken, somehow got out of it, and still scored the finish. Excellent striking versatility, ridiculous angles and combinations, striking volume at 8.5 strikes per minute. I think this might be a passing of the torch in the bantamweight division. Assuncao has been very consistent, but I think at this point he's a gatekeeper. Sandhagen is the future. He has 4-inch reach. Yeah, I mean, I think he's got to keep it standing. Assuncao's still obviously very dangerous on the mat, but then again, so is Sandhagen. I got Sandhagen at -150 on Sunday, and he's my favorite bet of the week for sure. And I have him individually. I have him in multiple parlays. I have a lot of money on Sandhagen. I love him in the spot.
Wow, I didn't expect that. All right, Rye, what do you think? What's your take? Any plays here?
I actually really like that fight doesn't go the distance for +180. I mean, I think, like CG said, could be a gatekeeper. He's getting a little up there in age, but it could also be a very close fight. Both fighters are very good fighters, and but I think they easily could both end the fight. Ends inside the distance +180. I like that for a small play.
All right, so here's my take on this fight. I do like Sandhagen. I like his striking. I like his length. I was very impressed with his striking against Lineker, able to get in and out and kind of pop him at the end of that jab. The issue is he was in trouble against Alcantara on the ground. Lineker took him down, I think twice in that fight, definitely in round 3. And that just concerns me because if Assuncao gets on top, I think that his BJJ is better than those guys, in my opinion. I think Alcantara was kind of done. He kind of got him to the ground. That armbar was in deep. I don't know how the hell he got out of that, but I think Assuncao would, if he takes his back or something like that, I think he's going to have more. I think he's going to have a strength advantage. So that's what concerns me with this fight. If it does stay standing, I do like Sandhagen. I think he's going to get the best of him. And again, for the most part, Marlon Moraes was able to, once he realized that, he can come over the top with that right hand. I think he hit him with 2 right hands to get that knockdown. I think that's how he got that knockdown. And
Steve,
right.
So Assuncao has 1 submission in 33 fights.
Yeah,
and his jiu-jitsu is way overrated. He's not good on the ground.
But again, Ty, the way that I look at that, and I agree with you, he's fighting very, very high level guys where most of those guys it's playing out in striking battles, no?
Yeah, but I mean, not all of those have been high level guys. I mean, if you look back when he first got in the UFC, Johnny Eduardo, Kimura, Easton, Lee, like those aren't guys that are good on the ground, and he's not submitting those people. He doesn't go for submissions when he gets the fight to the ground.
He's got like 2 takedowns since October 4th, 2014.
Yeah. He doesn't really shoot for takedowns, and when it does go to the ground, he doesn't try for submissions. It's more control.
All right. So maybe you guys are talking me into another bet here, which is terrible because I bet on just about every fight at this point.
I honestly think that if anyone wants to get it to the ground, it could be Sandhagen. He has the better wrestling. I mean, defensively, he has shown that he's not the greatest at wrestling. I think 20% takedown defense, but I think that he's the better wrestler of the two. That's not saying much.
Listen, this could be my Mariano Rodriguez moment of the podcast, so I may just stay away just because it scares me. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say here. Ryan, let me throw you this next fight. Devonte Smith just got a new opponent. Clay Collard is out of this fight, and we have I may screw up his name because I haven't heard the first name said yet, but Khama Worthy, I believe is his name. Ryan, what do you think here?
I think this fight ain't even worthy of talking about. I mean, Smith is just going to murder him. He's, knockout artist Worthy. He's been knocked out so many times it isn't even funny. Smith is going to end this fight probably within the first round. At the odds, it's not worth betting. It's like -750, so it's not worth betting. But Smith, this fight isn't even close.
Yeah, CG, you got anything to add to this?
I do. So Khama Worthy from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, 14-6. 6 of Worthy's loss came by knockout. So, right, yeah, 6 losses, 5 by knockout, 1 by submission. Yeah, so finished in all 6 of his losses. What is Smith's line to win inside the distance? Because I'm going to bet the shit out of that. It's not out yet. Damn it.
Yeah, it's not out yet. With the change of opponent, it's not out yet.
Okay, so as soon as that prop comes out for Smith by TKO, I'm going to jump on that.
I'm pretty
Hopefully
sure
it's under minus 300.
I'm pretty sure you're going to throw that in some parlays, no?
Maybe a couple of 7, yes.
Okay. A couple or 7. Tight slice.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I could add is, in addition to Worthy being stopped in every one of his losses, Smith has finished via stoppage in all of his wins.
Correct.
Yeah, I think he's like knocked out like 9 times.
Yeah, 9 TKOs, 1 sub.
9 and then 1 submission. So yeah, so it's likely going to be a knockout. So I want to see the knockout line and I want to see the inside distance line. If you're getting good values on either one of those, you might as well take it because this should be a first round stoppage.
The crazy thing is that he lost to Kyle Nelson, who's 0-2 in the UFC, and he lost to Matt Bissett, who's 0-3 in the UFC. Technically, he's 0-2 in the UFC, but he is 0-3 because we all know that he lost to Kurt Holloway too. So
he lost to Billy Quarantillo, who was on the Contender Series too, and he tried out for the Tough House and didn't make it in.
Well, and not just that, Worthy fought 3 weeks ago to win the light heavyweight title in, I think, 247 Fight League, whatever that is. And this is the third opponent that Smith has had lined up for this fight. So I think they were just scraping it, trying to get whoever they could to fill in this spot.
He got knocked out by Paul Felder back in 2012 too. So at least his losses are decent, right? Guys that made the UFC, not a bunch of fucking regional scrubs.
yeah, but he's lost to all those guys.
I know. Yeah, I can't wait to see that TKO prop.
All right, so Ty Slice, let me throw you this next fight. We're getting into the nuts and bolts of this card here. Derek Brunson and Ian Heinisch. I'm interested to get your take here. This was actually my free play of the week. I think this is going to finish inside the distance. Ty, what do you think?
Yeah, so I'm not really sure what to think of Brunson. He was on a 2-fight losing streak when he stepped up in competition and won versus Theodoro. Man, I think that Brunson has to go back to his old school approach. That's he's going to light him up, and if that happens, I think that it could be over pretty quick. So, I think that your play on Heinisch was actually pretty good. I don't know what you got him at right now. He's minus 150 though. I like that a lot.
Yeah, Heinisch is 150, and it's actually dropped down, right? I think he opened up at like minus 190. Let me take a look at that real quick and see where this line moved. Hold on one sec. So if we go over here,
It looks like he opened at minus 215.
yeah, I'm kind of surprised. I'm kind of surprised that it's dropped down that much. CG, what do you think here?
I think it's a tough fight to call for the most part because look at Heinisch's 2 wins. I mean, they're impressive, Fajera and Carlos Jr., but, those are 2 BJJ studs that were able to take Heinisch down. Heinisch was able to evade the submission, reverse, and kind of grind out 2 hard-fought victories. Brunson's not going to have that game plan. Brunson's going to want to stand and trade. And I know Brunson doesn't have the best fight IQ. He comes in with his chin up, throws caution to the wind. But at the end of the day, I mean, Heinisch isn't really much of a finisher when you look at his record. He's got about a 50% finish rate. Less than 50%. Of his 13 wins, 7 by decision. So, I mean, it's going to be a boxing match for the most part. And whether we feel comfortable betting on Brunson or not, I mean, he's got a lot of power in his hands, and he only loses to elite guys. I did place a bet on Heinisch because I saw his line crept down to minus 135 on Monday. So I liked the line. I thought it was good value. I grabbed it. Just because, I mean, it's tough to bet on Brunson. I bet on Brunson against Theodoro just because it was the perfect matchup. And luckily Brunson was able to capitalize. But Heinisch is somebody that just has a really, really good fight IQ, very fundamentally sound. But you look at his fight metrics, I mean, barely over 3 strikes per minute, less than a takedown per 15 minutes. But then again, I think that's all about who he fought. 2 jiu-jitsu practitioners that tried to take him down and submit him. So those were just 2 more slower-paced fights that lacked volume. But just because Brunson's fight IQ is so bad, I give the slight lean to Heinisch, but I'm not going to put down a lot of money on it.
Yeah. Ryan, what do you think here?
Yeah, I like Heinisch at negative 150. I think he actually could finish the fight. To me, Brunson he's starting to go over the hill a little bit, and well, like CJ said, it does worry me that most of his losses are to elite competition. I just don't think he wins this fight. I think Heinisch at negative 150 is definitely a good play.
All right, so Ty, I got a question for you. I gave out the free pick yesterday. My free pick, if you look at these odds right here, was this fight doesn't go to decision. It was minus 120. Do you think I moved the line to minus 130?
Did you move the line?
Yeah. Do you think I did it? I'm taking credit for it.
No, I don't think you moved the line. But that being said, I think that you're on the wrong side of that.
Okay. You think it's going to decision?
You said does not go to decision?
Does not go to decision.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think Heinisch is going to knock him out.
Yeah, I do too. And I think the only way Brunson wins is if he connects with a left hand. I think he's going to try. I think.
Well, and kind of like what CG alluded to was that Heinisch had fought 2 jiu-jitsu guys in his last 2. He's going to face somebody that's going to stand and trade with him, and Heinisch is a better striker. Heinisch wants to strike. He's a Muay Thai fighter. He just wants to throw down, and that's what's going to happen here. I think he's going to put Brunson early.
Yeah, I don't know if Brunson is tough enough to beat Ian Heinisch. Just from the fact that this guy basically did time. He was in prison. I don't see this. I don't think he's tough enough, personally. I think Ian Heinisch is one of the toughest guys that I've ever seen fight, and I just think he's going to overcome anything. Until someone can literally knock him out and put him out, I don't think he's going to lose a fight. CJ, I see you.
No, Heinisch's story is fucking ridiculous. You could make a movie out of that. It's nuts. And his cardio, his durability, like how he was able to beat Tejera and Carlos Jr. like that by just grinding out those tough victories. Like, the dude is so tough. And after what he's been through in life, like, you're not going to break this motherfucker. No way. And another thing, for Tejera and Carlos Jr., he had 3 consecutive TKOs.
So just to give you some insight, Heinisch is one of the guys that I'm eager to meet backstage, and as soon as I interview him, I'm going in the arena to watch Nate.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame you because
just gonna be waiting back and then.
Yeah, and Ty Slice is covering the event this weekend for MMA India, so definitely check out some of his stuff, the videography on the website. Let's get into this next fight. CG, I'm throwing this one to you because I know this is your boy, Sadiq Youssef versus Gabriel Benitez. Is there any way? I also have Youssef, just so you know, to finish off that parlay from earlier. My parlay was Hannah Cifers and Sadiq Youssef. I put that in this morning. CG, how many parlays do you have Youssef in right now?
I'm exercising some caution because he let me down last time. I had him beating Marias inside the distance. Obviously, we know that didn't happen. And even in this fight, his ITD prop isn't that good. What is it? Youssef inside the distance, only plus 140. So I don't know. So Benitez is actually a pretty underrated fighter. He's technically sound, trains at AKA. His leg kicks are brutal. So that does concern me a little bit. But Youssef's hand speed is just freaking nuts. His striking volume, 6.4 strikes per minute. Youssef should win, but don't sleep on Benitez at the same time.
Very interesting. I thought that you were calling another knockout here. Ryan, what do you think here?
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I probably wouldn't bet this fight if if I had to, I honestly think I would probably pick the upset and go Benitez as the dog. I think this is a pretty big step up for Yusuf, and at negative 270, I wouldn't lay the odds on that. If anything, I'd probably go maybe the underdog bet, but I probably wouldn't bet it at all, honestly. That's just what I would do if I had to do some.
Ty Slice, let me know something about Yusuf here, man. Am I the only one?
No, I'm all over Yusuf. I don't know if he's going to, but definitely. I don't think Benitez is really at his level. So.
Hey, don't get me wrong, Steve. I like Yusuf. I just don't know if I'm going to bet him inside the distance. Have you?
I think that Yusuf is going to knock out Gabriel Benitez, and I'll even go a step further. I think that Shayman Moraes and Mike Davis are both better than Benitez. That's what I think. I think this is actually a step down for Yusuf. I think his hand speed, that he proved it against Shayman Moraes. His hand speed is just legit. What was the quote, CG, from that you gave us about his hand speed against Shayman Moraes? Do you remember?
I don't remember exactly what it was, but I remember I was so excited. And I lost a lot of money on him, so I'm better. I mean, you look at his record, he's got 9 wins, 5 TKOs, 4 decisions, and his one loss, he was like hip toss, he landed on his face, was knocked out. It was really, really freaking weird. But, for as good as his hand speed is and his striking volume, I mean, Benitez is also a very cautious, defensively sound fighter. I know he was knocked out by touchy-feely, so I don't know. Yusuf is definitely a parlay piece. You know what? I might throw him in a couple parlays inside the distance, but I'm not going to make a heavy investment on that.
All right, so let's talk about who Benitez has beat. He beat Jason Knight, no longer in the UFC, right? He actually lost. Jason Knight actually lost to what's his name, Connor's boy, in a bare knuckle boxing fight, right?
Yeah, Artem.
All right, so then he beat Bandone, who's terrible, and lost to a guy, this past weekend, he had no business losing to. He lost 2 in a row. He's lost to Barzola. He's lost to Andre Feely. He actually beat Clay Collard, who couldn't even make it to this card. Those are the kind of guys that Benitez is fighting. So
Barzola and Feely are terrible losses. Feely's probably in the top 15 right now.
Yeah, you're right, but didn't Feely knock him out in the first or second round?
Yeah, head kick.
You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I think Yusuf gets him. I think he touches him up.
I think Yusuf wins. I don't know if he wins inside the distance. That's all I'm saying. I love Yusuf as a prospect.
Yeah, so let's get into this next fight. I'm taking Yusuf just so everybody knows, and it's in a parlay piece. I'm picking Yoel Romero just because I got to pick somebody here. But I am not betting this fight. I think this is a great fight. There's no way that these guys don't use some kind of performance-enhancing drugs. I just don't get it. It's not natural to look like this. Let me throw this to Ryan first. I really want to throw the next one, the Nate Diaz fight, to Ty first. So, right, let me know what you think about this Yoel Romero and Paulo Costa fight.
Yeah, I absolutely love Romero. I think he should be the champion right now. He absolutely won that Whitaker fight and got robbed, in my opinion. So I think I just don't think, honestly, Costa is that good. I think he's a knockout artist, and I don't think Romero is going to get knocked out. To me, the only person that maybe could beat Romero is Whitaker, and that's even a question mark to me. I just don't think Costa wins this fight at negative 150. I think Romero is an absolute steal.
All right. CG, I'm opening my third White Claw Black Cherry right now. What are you drinking?
Oh, what do you think I'm drinking? Labatt Light, and I'm only at number 2. Pussy tonight.
Well, you joined us a little bit late. So, CG, what do you think here?
Yoel Romero is 42 years old. He's got to slow down sometime, right? I like Costa. Guy lands almost 9 strikes per minute. A lot of people are talking about his wins, how they're not all that impressive. I disagree. I think Uriah Hall beating him the way he did was very impressive. What concerns me is, I mean, right after that fight, he popped, right?
Yeah.
He popped, he was suspended, then his suspension was reduced because I'm assuming that he tipped somebody off, huh? Got to be it. That's how it usually works, right? What did you know what he popped for? Was it steroids? Regardless, whatever he was taking.
I think it was something.
Well, the way he looks, it has to be steroids. I mean, come on.
No, it's something. Yeah.
So supposedly there was something in one of the supplements he was taking that wasn't listed on the label, and he got cleared.
Interesting. Okay. So, bottom line, I think Costa has a lot of value in this spot. The guy's a freaking animal, man. Powerful. He's fast. He's technical. To outstrike Uriah Hall the way he did. Uriah Hall, I know that he's a mental midget in the octagon, but that win was still very impressive. Kickboxing Uriah Hall for 3 rounds, no easy task. I like Costa, and I also placed a small bet on him to win inside the distance at, I think it was plus 180 when I placed it. I don't know. Let's see what it is now. Right now, Costa's plus 120. Costa wins inside the distance plus 180. Yep. Listen, Romero's a legend. He's 42 years old. This isn't going to last forever. Costa's coming into his prime. The guy's a beast. 9 strikes per minute. Jesus. Yeah, I like Costa.
Well, I am willing to place a bet, Ty, on this fight finishing. But other than that, I really can't pick somebody. I don't know. Costa 12-0, all 12 fights have finished, Ty. What do you think here?
Yeah, I'm all in on Costa here. I think that you're getting really good value at plus 120. Are talking like CG said about Costa's wins. But if you look back at Yoel Romero's wins, they don't really look that good now either. Like, I mean, you got Rockhold, Weidman. I mean, the Drakkar win's good. But Machida, like...
That was close, though. You can make the case he lost that fight, too.
Yeah, and, you know, in hindsight, like, all those guys were on the downswing. And so now you're getting Costa, who's on the rise. He hasn't beaten a lot of good people, but he's been doing what he's supposed to be doing and knocking them out and destroying them. Yoel Romero's up there in age. Outside of a few good punches, I didn't think that he looked great versus Whitaker. I think
Ty, you're breaking up.
I was just saying.
We missed the last part of that time. All right. So
one more thing, Steve. So Costa landed 75 significant strikes against Uriah Hall. 33 of those strikes, or 44%, were to the body. He digs the fucking body. He does. And I love fighters that do that.
I do like that too. And again, you would think Yoel at 42 is gonna slow down if you dig the body there.
You would think.
I'm betting inside the distance. I have it in one of my parlays, one of my 3 parlays. Taken after CG, he's rubbing off on me. But for the most part, I'm not picking a winner. I picked Yoel Romero at the beginning, so I'm gonna stick with that. But yeah, I'm staying away because I just don't trust myself with that. Ty Slice. Hopefully you don't freeze up here because we need your take on Nate Diaz and Anthony Pettis. And I feel like you have a unique take here on Nate Diaz. So what do you think here, bro?
Yeah, my bad. We got new internet in this place, and it's kind of shaky right now. I need to change the router. But no, so with Pettis, he's notorious for struggling against people that pressure him. And Nate is the type of striker that could execute that same game plan and pressure him. So in that sense, I think that Nate has the advantage. That being said, if he doesn't get up in his face and pressure, if Pettis sits back, Pettis is going to pick him apart at range. I don't really think this fight's going to the ground. Pettis does have underrated ground skills off of his back, but I think that Nate holds the advantage on the ground. Pettis holds a slight striking advantage, and granted the pressure thing I was talking about. I think that this is a good fight for Nate. I know a lot of people are not in the same boat, and it could be that I have some bias coming into play, but I think that this is Nate's fight to lose.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, but I don't know. It's a tough one. I'm gonna let everybody else go here. CG, what do you think here? Actually, I know what you think, so go ahead, tell us.
I like Nate Diaz. I think his boxing is some of the best in the UFC. He trains with professionals. His cardio is always fantastic. I know everyone's concerned about the layoff. 3 years. It's not going to matter. This guy stays in shape. He's always training. So cardio, volume, forward pressure. It's tough for me to bet on somebody like Anthony Pettis that lands 2.9 strikes per minute, doesn't offer any takedown upside. The one thing that scares the shit out of me about Pettis in this fight is I think Pettis is just going to attack the legs. I think he's going to land some nasty leg kicks, and Diaz brothers typically don't check leg kicks. That does concern me. But I'm just seeing a lot of people on Twitter are on Anthony Pettis. I saw somebody post that Nate Diaz was 3-4 in his last 7 fights. Well, it depends how you want to look at the data, okay? He's also 6-4 in his last 10 fights. Pettis is 4-6 in his last 10 fights. I like Diaz to win with his boxing, striking-based decision. Pettis' leg kicks do scare the shit out of me, but I don't, I don't think it's a highly likely outcome that it's going to make that big of a difference. I know RDA was able to neutralize Diaz with those leg kicks, but hopefully he learned his lesson. Diaz has a nice 4-inch reach advantage as well. Yeah, I mean, I just think there's a lot of good data. A lot of these metrics are pointing to Nate Diaz. He's tougher than shit. I mean, could Pettis catch him with a head kick? Yeah, it's possible. I just don't think it's very likely. So I like Diaz.
So again, Ty Slice, your boy, Pettis leg kicks seem to be playing in. You see that on the bottom line? Ryan, what do you think here, bro?
Yeah, I mean, as much as I hate to say it just because I don't like Diaz at all, I think he's a complete joke and should never be able to fight in the UFC again. I know Tyler absolutely has a love affair with the guy, but I think he wins this fight. I mean, I don't know if I'd bet it just because that 3 years off worries me. I know he still trains a lot and stuff like that in between, getting popped for drugs or fighting in the crowds in MMA fights. But I mean, if I had to bet, I'd probably bet it.
His brother's the one that popped for drugs, not him.
What was that?
His brother's the one that popped for drugs, not him.
Oh, I mean, they both are the same thing. I mean, they're both jokes. They're both, I just don't like either of them. But if I had to bet the fight, I'd probably bet him.
All right. So truth be told, after I did my research, I was concerned about the leg kicks, and I put a bet in on Anthony Pettis, and I felt bad because CG, I know he was heavy on Nate Diaz, so I'm gonna let him respond if he wants to. But I was concerned with the leg kicks, and I also think that Anthony Pettis at 170, I think his power seems to be legit. I mean, he did drop Wonder Boy and knock him out, and then he also dropped Tony Ferguson in that fight. If he didn't break his hand, I mean, he may have finished that fight. But CG, what do you think here? You're crawling around in your seat here.
This is what it comes down to for me. So the most significant strikes that Anthony Pettis has ever landed in a fight was 80 against Jim Miller. Nate Diaz, on the other hand, you watch his boxing against Michael Johnson, whether you like the guy or not, Michael Johnson has decent boxing. Diaz lit him up 153 to 103. Then he goes out against Cowboy Cerrone, lands 238 significant strikes in a 3-round fight. I mean, if he can keep it at range and use the boxing, he wins the fight. Like I said, I'll be the first to admit, the leg kick scared the shit out of me. All right, don't be a fucking moron. No, that's a very likely outcome. That's going to happen. What are you going to do about it? So hopefully every time Pettis throws a leg kick, Diaz makes him pay for it. So, I mean, just know that's going to be his go-to. That's how he's going to open up the fight. He's going to immediately attack your leg. How are you going to mitigate that? And hopefully if he has a decent game plan, he wins the fight. Typically, if you look at Diaz's losses, he usually gets grinded out by wrestlers. Pettis is not going to grapple him. So if it's going to be a striking affair, Diaz more times than not wins that fight.
All right. So I guess we're head-to-head because I'm on Pettis on this one.
Just because the leg kicks?
I mean, I do like the leg kicks. I do like the leg kicks, and I do like the power. That's what I'm going with here.
Nate isn't going to get stopped by leg kicks.
If Connor didn't knock out Nate, then Anthony Pettis, then Pettis ain't gonna knock out Nate. I mean,
the Josh Thompson fight, that's what everyone's talking about. You know, Thompson landed a head kick on Nate and knocked him out, but I just don't think it's a very likely outcome.
All right. I mean, take it for what it's worth. My bet is on Pettis. Anybody else make a bet here? CG, how many bets do you have on Nate Diaz in this fight?
He's in about 5 parlays right now. Some were overlapping to previous events. So he's the last piece to the puzzle. I need him to win on Saturday.
Steve, I think you're listening to too many other touts.
What is it? I'm sorry.
I think you're listening to too many other touts. That the leg kicks aren't going to matter.
CG is my witness. The reason he actually told me about the leg kicks, and then I saw Conor McGregor. I watched the Conor McGregor 2 fight, and I saw the leg kicks really affect Nate in that fight. I don't know. I actually was taping this fight when CG texted me about this fight.
But I mean, Pettis does kick like a fucking mule, but still.
But when has Pettis consistently just worked the legs?
Well, again, that was one of the comments. Let me go back to it. Brandon Parker, 15% of Pettis' strikes are leg kicks. Please don't prey on that. So
yeah, I mean, I feel like that's his biggest asset in this fight. If that's not going to play a factor, do you think he's going to outbox Nate Diaz?
But the way that I told you that Nate's path to victory is to close the distance, he's not going to be able to kick the legs.
He landed 20 leg kicks against Stephen Thompson. He did. So he was attacking Thompson early. That's really all he did, though. I mean, the Superman punch, come on. That's not a predictive outcome. And Thompson was like, that was just weird. He wasn't even defending it. He turned his face and just ate it.
But even if when Diaz comes forward on him, even if Pettis throws his leg kicks, it's going to be off of his back foot. It's not going to have the same amount of power as a power leg kick.
Not to get into narratives, I don't know if you guys have been watching UFC Countdown, but it's pissing me off because I have a lot of money on Nate. But Pettis just seems so goddamn confident and arrogant, and Diaz is kind of like, it's obviously the guy's tough to fucking understand. But he's like, oh, we'll see what happens. So it's like, come on, Nate, be more confident. Let's go.
Well, that's because he doesn't need to fight. He's making so much money with his marijuana business.
Well, that concerns me too.
Well, I mean that's been for 3 or 4 years though.
Yeah, I mean, his boxing's on point.
Ty Slice loves the narrative. Ty, did you? I know you didn't. So CG, did you listen to Duke Rufus on Ariel Helwani this week?
I did not. I was listening to the interview with Okamoto and Nate on the drop to work this morning.
Listen to that also. If you listen to Duke Rufus, he basically said that Nate Diaz brought out the best Anthony Pettis. His training has been on point. And again, this is his second fight at 170.
Rufus always blows Anthony Pettis. Every UFC Countdown show that I've ever watched, dating back 5 years, he blows Pettis. I'm pretty sure he named his son after Pettis.
Not just that, Rufus also said that CM Punk was coming along well and was legit.
Yeah. Boys, he talks really slow. Anthony, let's go.
Yeah, Ty makes a good point. So I'm gonna move on to the main event at this point. So Ryan, since you're our guest for this is your first Brews and Bets. I'm gonna let you break down this main event. Stipe Miocic and Daniel Cormier. is our main event here. And right now, this line is Cormier minus 145, Miocic plus 125. I'm going to be honest with you. I've been going back and forth on this fight all week. So, Ryan, let us know where you're going with this.
Yeah, so I'll be honest. The first fight I was all over Miocic. I didn't think Cormier was gonna have a close fight. And now I'm the complete opposite way. I actually was at the Miocic Nagano fight in Boston, and after seeing that fight, Miocic just has no stamina at all. I think DC wins this pretty easily. I think he can win it any way he wants, honestly, whenever he wants. So at negative 145, I am all over DC.
All right, Ty Slice, I know where you are, but where's your head at with this? Let everybody know.
Well, I think this is Cormier's fight to lose. I think that Stipe was a little bit overrated during his champion reign. I think Cormier can pretty much do whatever he wants in this fight. I look for him to close the distance early because the only area that Stipe was having success in is when they were fighting at distance. But Cormier recognized that, closed the distance. I don't think he's going to knock him out again with the short shot. I think that he is going to wear Stipe out and get him to the ground, and I wouldn't be surprised if he got him in a rear naked choke and finished him this time, maybe a second round.
Yeah, Miocic has no ground game at all.
Yeah, other than being on top of Francis Ngannou and throwing some punches and elbows, that was about it.
Yeah, and that was a joke. Both of them were just laying there at that fight, after the second round. Like, the fight should have been over. The ref should have stopped that fight.
So, CG, I just checked my phone, and you have a potty mouth. But other than that, the names that you call me in text messages, I just wish you would say it on the podcast. I mean, we're already demonetized as it is. But Cormier versus Miocic 2, what do you think here, CG?
Oh, like you said, Steve, I keep on going back and forth as well. So in their last fight, I was on DC just because I felt like Stipe was taking him lightly because, Stipe was riding that high. I felt like in their last fight, Stipe was fighting like he was the challenger. He was stalking DC. He's the better boxer. He's 6'4". He has an 8-inch reach. Keep the fight at bay. You're a Golden Gloves boxer. But instead, he was closing the distance on DC. And although I think Stipe is the better technical boxer, DC is definitely the better pocket boxer. He's got the better dirty boxing, and that's how he won the fight. So it all comes down to Stipe's game plan, I think. If Stipe can keep the distance and just strategically outbox him, I think he can win the fight. I just don't know if he's going to be that disciplined. Even against, I guess it worked out well for him, but in Stipe's last fight against JDS, it looked like he got hurt, and then he just kind of stalked JDS and was lucky to score the finish, but you can't do that against DC. I don't know where I'm going. We got to remember, I want to say that Stipe closed as like a minus 190 favorite in their last fight and lost because as DC was exiting the clinch, he landed a punch. I don't even know if he thought that was going to be a knockout punch. You know what I mean? He just wanted to throw a punch while exiting it, hit him in the right spot, and knocked out Stipe. I don't think that's likely to happen again. So if the fight goes into the championship rounds, then I think Stipe has the edge, but then again, DC has more paths to victory. Honest to God, I don't know where to go on this one. It slightly favored the champ, but I don't know. We'll probably change my mind by Saturday.
And I'll give my pick here, but I think I gotta go DC only because I feel like he legitimately feels like he won the first fight because of strategy. And he is in Stipe's head because he basically is telling Stipe right now, I have things on you that you haven't picked up on tape. And I think because he won the first time and called it, from what I saw on tape, he called it the night before that Stipe exits the clinch like that and basically has his chin up in the air and is open for, for a big overhand right. And that's basically what he did. It was actually like a short right that knocked him down. But for the most part, he called it the night before, talked about it, told everybody about it, and said, I got more. And I just think he's in Stipe's head. Stipe wouldn't even take another fight. He wanted this rematch so bad. So I think he's – unfortunately, there's a narrative here where he's just so obsessed with this that I just think that DC is going to be able to use that to his advantage. I'm not betting it. I'll see how all my 17 bets go before this. I'm sure CG's got about 25 parlays going. But for the most part, I'm probably not betting this until, if I know I'm up for the night, maybe I'll throw something on it just because I have to. But I think I'm going with Daniel Cormier in this fight. And I know for a fact, CJ, I don't remember who you were on the first time. I know you said you were on Cormier. But I know Ty Slice was basically favoring Cormier the first fight. I was all over, Miocic in that first fight. I just thought that he was going to run right through him. And I think that he should run through him, but I think DC's in his head. So I think this is, something to do with that.
I think they're trying to make that Cormier versus John Jones fight in December.
Unfortunately, John Jones says he doesn't want the fight. This other stuff. What do you think?
What he said in the interview, either in an interview or on Twitter a few days ago, that Cormier doesn't want the fight.
Cormier cannot make 205 again. Do you think
I wouldn't be surprised if Jones jumps up to heavyweight in December. No matter
no reason not to.
It's going to happen. Yeah.
I think no matter who wins, he's going to fight the winner of it.
I think the money's going to be right that they're going to want to do it.
Yeah.
Well, no one in that division can give Jones a shot. I mean, Santos got lucky that last fight that it lasted that long. I mean, no one in that division is going to beat Jones. He may as well jump up.
I disagree. I think
Johnny Walker's there.
I was going to say, I think Jones's life cycle at 205 is slowly coming to an end.
Well, Johnny Walker already has a fight.
Santos tore every ligament in his knee and still won 2 out of 5 rounds. What happens if he doesn't tear his ACL, MCL, and LCL? I mean, he probably wins that fight, right?
Well, I mean, it depends on who was scoring it. I thought that Jones won 4 of the rounds. But,
and I mean, we know Jones takes his opponents lightly sometimes and kind of fucks around and does whatever he wants during his fights. Who's to say that he didn't know that, he was hurt and was just screwing around to screw around? That's Jones' view.
Yeah, I thought Santos won the first 2 for sure. Have to go back and watch it.
But Johnny Walker's really the only competitor, and he has a fight lined up.
Rakic? Rakic?
I forget who he's supposed to fight.
I don't know who he's fighting next, but I think he's a very impressive prospect at 205.
Yeah, no, but I mean,
yeah.
Jones wants to fight again in either November or December, and realistically, who is he going to fight?
When do Reyes and Weidman fight?
It's in October in Boston.
That'd be a quick turnaround, unless Reyes can score an early knockout.
Well, and if Weidman wins, which I don't think he's going to, he's not even near a title shot at that division.
Right.
So basically,
I heard that he might be fighting. Somebody posted that he might be fighting Blachowicz.
Who's that, CG?
Weidman, or I mean,
Jones.
Blachowicz?
Just beat a big name.
That's not a big name. But
Rocco's a big name. I know he's overrated, but he's a name.
Yeah, but I mean, I think Jones.
I'm not saying I agree with that. That's what I saw.
It's either the New York card in November or the New Year's Eve card or the New Year's Eve week card. Jones wants that pay-per-view money, and if he's not in the main event, I mean, versus Blachowicz, he's not going to be in the main event. That's not a main event.
He'll still be in the main event just because he's Jones. I mean, he's the biggest draw that the UFC has right now.
Yeah, but that's not a moneymaker fight. I think that Jones is trying to be about having those moneymaker fights. And if he fights Stipe or Cormier, that's gonna sell crazy.
Right, but has either of his last 2 fights been moneymaker fights, and he's main evented the pay-per-views? I mean,
He hasn't really had the choice though.
I don't know. I just thought he looked like shit in his last fight.
I think part of
he was facing a dangerous guy that could put him out at any time. I mean, and he's on one leg. You don't just run in there recklessly. You pick him apart and win a decision, fight another day.
I think the problem with Jones is that everybody that he fights, he tries to fight their fight, right? He wants to beat them. That's what everybody says. He wants to beat them at what they do best. He wants to take down Daniel Cormier. He wants to outstrike Gustafsson. He wants to, outkick Santos. That's part of the issue with Jones. But if he just went and played to his strengths as opposed to everybody else's strengths, I think it would be a different outcome. Not for nothing, but he's playing with fire because Santos looked good even on one leg though.
He did.
He
did. I don't understand why he didn't take the path of least resistance. It doesn't make you a pussy. It makes you smart. Jones has some of the best ground and pound of all time. Use it.
CG, we just got demonetized again here. So, Ryan, thanks for coming on to the podcast.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
It's been good. CG, we thought we were going to miss out on them. Right, what else? Are you doing anything else this week?
No, not really. I got a concert I'm going to on Friday. Tyler knows I'm all about going to concerts and stuff like that. And then I'll probably watch the fights on Saturday or do something on Saturday.
Yeah, definitely.
You just went and seen Florida-Georgia line last week.
Yeah. I don't remember much of it, but I was definitely there.
Me and Steve got a text from you.
That text cannot be read on the podcast, though, probably,
right?
No.
Not only will we get demonetized, we'll get kicked off YouTube.
Yeah, we're not making any money on this. Ty Slice, what else you got this week? You got the Prize Pick shirts on, the MyBookie hat.
Yeah, and Friday I'm heading out to Anaheim and gonna be there working media for the fights.
All right, CG, what else do we have this week?
I can't. 100%. What was that?
Doing a DraftKings show? Are you committed to this?
Yeah, we can do that. I don't know about tomorrow unless you want to do it later, but Thursday would be better for me.
Let's do it Thursday. Commit to it right now. Thursday at what time?
Thursday after I put the little ones to bed, 9:15, 9:30. Sound good?
Right. Yep. CG and I, Thursday, we'll do that. And then Friday, I'm going to have a podcast with Yanni, just myself and Yanni. I'm actually going to be down the shore. So it may be outside, but yeah, for the most part, we'll do what we got to do. And we'll I guess for the most part, Yanni's taken a lot of shit this week and last week, over the last few weeks, but he was
hit last week. He
was 2 for 2 last week, but for the most part, a lot of people are giving him shit still, and we're gonna have him on for every pay-per-view event. I invited him on. He said he'd be on this Friday, so hopefully that continues. All right, so good luck this week, everybody, with your bets. Hopefully you make a lot of bets, not like these guys who talk a lot of bets and don't make them.